We are proud as a government to be getting on and doing this important work.
Question number 12, the Honourable Alfred Ngaro.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Associate Minister of Transport, how many children in the past year drowned as a result of not wearing life jackets, and what actions will she take so that more children wear life jackets this summer?
The Honourable Genter.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. In answer to the first part of the question, Maritime New Zealand advises me that no children under the age of 18 drowned as a result of not wearing life jackets in recreational boating incidents. Over this summer, Maritime New Zealand will spend $450,000 to fund safe boating education to over 5,000 children and provide 4,000 new life jackets. I am pleased that Maritime New Zealand reports very high rates of children wearing life jackets on small recreational boats.
Mr Speaker, will the Minister support my legislation to make life jackets compulsory for children on vessels less than 6 metres, when from the Drowning Prevention Auckland have noted that 105 drownings with 9 children who have drowned, and then also too with the Coast Guard and Sea Scouts have indicated that there is a need of wearing life jackets and those throughout the sector. Will the Minister support my legislation to make life jackets compulsory for children?
I believe that the report that the member is referring to does not establish that the drownings would be avoided by life jackets. Under the age of 15 of the drownings, over half of them were in home pools, and there's no data in the report that establishes that the drownings were on recreational vessels. In fact, the best data that we have from Maritime New Zealand, and this is a very comprehensive table I'd be happy to table, it's a detailed table of recreational fatalities from the 1st of January 2016 to the 18th of September 2018, shows that there have been 0 fatalities for recreational boaters under the age of 18. Of the fatalities for recreational boaters, all of them have been adults, and a certain percentage of them could be avoided through wearing life jackets. So it's unclear from the data that a single death would be prevented by the member's bill.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
A point of order, the Honourable.
I move that the Life Jackets for Children and Young Persons Bill, a member's bill in my name, be set down as a member's order of the day.
Order. The member can't move a motion like that. He knows that. He's been round for a long time. Has the member finished his question?
Supplementary.
I'm very tempted not to continue with the supplementaries. I know it's a very important issue and I will allow it. But if members are deliberately disorderly in the way that that member was then, they are tempting me to use the powers given to me by the House not to continue supplementaries on an issue. Because this is an important issue and because the member is generally well behaved, I will let him continue.
Sorry, Mr Speaker, my wording was incorrect. I do take a point of order. I seek leave of the House and correct to actually put my member's bill.
I'm prepared to put the leave to the House. Is there any objection? Yes, there is.
Supplementary.
No, I had called Mr Ngaro for a supplementary question before he took his point of order.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister, in light of the Minister turning down my legislation and my request, what is her plan to reduce the drownings in New Zealand for those children without wearing life jackets, when at the AGM it was very clear...
Order. I'm going to get the member to start his question again.
Yes.
In a way which is within standing orders and does not start with something which, in my understanding of listening to the answer, because I did, include something which the Minister didn't say.
If the House won't accept the legislation that I put in my member's bill, will the Minister then accept the request from those in the sector who have repeatedly endorsed and advocated for the mandatory wearing of life jackets for all children under the age of 15, so that it is mandatory and clear right throughout the whole of New Zealand?
Okay, it's a hypothetical question. The member can address it if she wants to.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'll reiterate for the benefit of that member that no recreational boater under 18 has died in 2016, 2017 or 2018. In 2015, one child died from traumatic injuries from a collision between two craft. One child on a stand-up paddleboard fell and was pulled under a yacht despite wearing a life jacket. In 2013, one child and adult, when a kayak capsized, died, but the child was wearing an adult life jacket. So if the member is serious about addressing preventable deaths, he might want to focus the legislation on the group that's actually most at risk, which is adult males over the age of 40.
Supplementary question.
No, before we do that, I just want to indicate to the Minister that she should refer to the member, not me. The right honourable Winston.
Supplementary question, just to get it clear. Is it the fact that the government is not proposing to legislate to make it compulsory for children to wear life jackets in swimming pools, as the question suggested?
Order. The Minister can answer the first part of the question, which was really the only part, the only question that was there. It was just the additional fact, the additional assertion is not her responsibility.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker, could the member repeat the question?
Thank you. Just to make it clear, is the government proposing to legislate for children to be required to wear life jackets in swimming pools, yes or no?
No, it is not.
Supplementary. Will the Minister then commit here today in front of the House and in front of the New Zealand public at home to ask the Minister of Transport to raise an order in Council in Cabinet to make wearing of life jackets on boats compulsory for children across New Zealand, as has been advocated by a number in the sector, because of the fact is that even one life of a child drowned is one life too many?
Order. The member finished his question in about 2 phrases.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I agree with the member that it's very important that we have safety, that we prevent deaths out on the water, and I note that if the National Party was really serious about doing this, then Minister of Transport Simon Bridges or previous Minister of Transport Gerry Brownlee could have accelerated this legislation.
That concludes oral questions. A point of order, the Honourable Gerry Brownlee.
Before you conclude, what was that last remark that had my name brought into the debate?
I think I know that focus had been lost somewhat by a number of members, but what the Associate Minister indicated was that if it was a matter of importance, then it could have been taken up and advanced by previous Ministers of Transport, including that member and one of his colleagues.
Speaking to point of order.
Well, it's the member's own point of order. It's probably a new one.
Oh, well, no, it's not. It's the same one. Because if you look at standing orders, Mr. Speaker, that is clear inference which sits outside of standing orders for how questions should be answered. And in any event, there's any number of things that the current government perhaps should not be doing because the previous government had previously done them. Now, where do we stop and start all this stuff? That was a straight-out gratuitous political flick, and there should be some cost to the Green Party for it.
The member will resume his seat. That was, I think, a not outrageous answer to a question which in itself, if I'd been more vigilant and done what the member recommended that I do on Tuesday and be much tighter on questions and answers, I would have ruled out.
No.
Right. We've concluded oral questions. I call on Government Order of the Day number 1.
Nā rohe moana o